I canceled my flight home. Just canceled it. Standing right there at Manila airport with my boarding pass in my hand. She was crying, begging me not to leave her, and I believed every word. That decision, that one moment of weakness, cost me everything I'd saved for 30 years. $265,000. Gone. And the worst part? I saw it happening. I watched myself give it all away. But I couldn't stop, because stopping meant admitting I'd been a fool from the very first day. I met Jennifer on my 11th day in the Philippines. I'd come alone, just 2 weeks planned, trying to figure out who I was after the divorce. 35 years married to a woman who barely looked at me the last decade. My kids grown and busy with their own lives. Retired from aerospace engineering at 62 with a decent pension and some savings. I just wanted peace, maybe a little adventure. I wasn't looking for her. I was standing at the departure gate at Ninoy Aquino International Airport, boarding pass in hand, ready to go back to my empty condo in Chicago. My flight was in 40 minutes. I'd checked my bag. I was done. Then I heard her voice. "Mitchell, please, don't go." I turned around, and there she was, Jennifer. 28 years old, long black hair, eyes red from crying. She'd driven 2 hours from Batangas just to catch me before I left. "I had to see you," she said, her voice breaking. "I couldn't let you leave without telling you." My heart was pounding. We'd only known each other 3 days. 3 days. "Tell me what?" I asked. She stepped closer. "That I've never felt this way before. About anyone. I know it's crazy. I know you probably think I'm just some girl trying to use you like the others. But I'm not. I promise you I'm not. I should have walked away. I should have smiled politely, told her it was nice meeting her, and gotten on that plane. But I didn't. Because when she looked at me, I felt something I hadn't felt in 20 years. I felt wanted. "I don't want you to go," she whispered. "Please, just stay a little longer. Give us a chance." I stood there, travelers rushing past me, announcements echoing through the terminal. My logical brain was screaming at me. "She's 28. You're 62. You met her at a bar 3 days ago. This is insane." But my heart, my stupid, lonely heart, was louder. "How much longer?" I heard myself ask. She smiled through her tears. "Just a week, that's all. If you still want to leave after a week, I won't stop you." I looked down at my boarding pass. American Airlines. Seat 24C, non-refundable. I walked over to the trash can and dropped it in. "1 week," I said. Her face lit up like I'd given her the world. She threw her arms around me, buried her face in my chest. "Thank you," she breathed. "Thank you for believing in me." That night I checked into a small hotel in Makati. Jennifer came over with takeout, some kind of Filipino chicken dish I can't even remember the name of now. We sat on the balcony, the city lights sprawling below us, and she told me about her life. How she'd grown up poor in Batangas, worked her way through 2 years of college before money ran out. How she'd been working as a bartender for 6 years, sending money home to her family, dreaming of opening her own cafe someday. "My parents are getting old," she said softly. "My dad has diabetes. The medication is expensive. My younger brother is smart, really smart, but we can't afford to send him to university." She looked at me. "I'm not telling you this because I want anything from you, Mitchell. I just want you to know who I am. I'm not like the other girls you probably met here." And I believed her. God help me, I believed every word. The week turned into 3 weeks. I rented a small apartment in Makati, nothing fancy, just a 1-bedroom with a decent view and air conditioning that actually worked. Jennifer started staying over most nights. She'd cook breakfast, these amazing Filipino dishes with rice and eggs and vegetables I'd never heard of. She'd practice English with me, teach me Tagalog words. "Mahal kita," she'd say, kissing my cheek. "It means I love you." I'd wake up next to her and wonder how this was my life, how a 62-year-old divorced engineer from Chicago ended up here with this beautiful woman who seemed to actually care about me. We'd go to markets together, little shops in Makati where she knew all the vendors. She'd hold my hand in public. She'd laugh at my jokes. She'd listen when I talked about my failed marriage, about my kids who barely called, about feeling invisible for the last decade of my life. "You're not invisible to me," she'd say. "I see you, Mitchell. I see exactly who you are." One night, about 2 weeks in, she got a call. Her face went pale. She stepped out on the balcony, spoke rapid Tagalog I couldn't understand. When she came back in, she was crying. "What's wrong?" I asked. She shook her head. "It's my father. He's sick again. The pharmacy won't fill his prescription until we pay what we owe. It's 12,000 pesos. I did the math in my head. About $200. "How much do you owe?" I asked. 26,000. "About $450. She wiped her eyes. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have told you. It's not your problem." But I'd already pulled out my wallet. "Here," I said, handing her $500 in cash I'd exchanged that morning. "Pay the pharmacy. Get your dad's medicine." She stared at the money. "Mitchell, I can't take this." "Yes, you can. It's okay. I want to help." She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. "I'll pay you back. I promise." "You don't have to," I said. She threw her arms around me. "I've never met a man like you. Never." That night, lying in bed next to her, I felt something I hadn't felt since my 20s. I felt needed. I felt like I mattered. 2 days later, it was her brother. Tuition payment due, 18,000 pesos, about $320. I sent it. A week after that, her mother needed medication. 15,000 pesos. I sent that too. Jennifer never asked directly. She'd just mention it in passing, worry in her voice, and I'd offer. Because that's what you do when you care about someone, right? You help. But something was starting to nag at me. Small things. She was always on her phone. Always. She'd be laughing at something, then quickly lock the screen when I looked over. When I asked who she was texting, she'd say, "My cousin," or "my friend from work." She'd disappear sometimes, for 2 or 3 hours. Vague explanations about family emergencies or errands. Once I called her at 9 p.m. and she didn't answer for 4 hours. When she finally called back, she said her phone died. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. Because if I didn't, then what was I doing here? What had I given up my flight home for? "Jennifer," I said one morning over coffee, "I want to meet your family." She looked up surprised. "My family?" "Yeah. Your parents, your brother. If I'm going to be part of your life, I should meet them, right?" She smiled, but something flickered across her face. "Of course, yes, soon. Let me talk to them first. They're traditional, you know. I want to prepare them." A week passed. Then another. The meeting never happened. Instead, she introduced me to her cousin Linda. We met at a cafe in Quezon City. Linda was 35, polished, professional-looking, wore a blazer and carried a leather portfolio. "Mitchell," Jennifer said, squeezing my hand. "Linda is a real estate agent, one of the best in Manila. I told her you might be interested in investing here." I hadn't said anything about investing. "Oh?" I said, looking at Linda. Linda smiled, pulled out a glossy brochure. "Mr. Mitchell, the market here is booming. Foreigners are buying pre-construction condos, renting them out, making excellent returns. I have a development in Quezon City, luxury units, perfect for expats." She slid the brochure across the table. The condos looked nice, modern. The numbers seemed reasonable. "This unit here," Linda said, pointing, 1.2 million pesos down payment. That's about $21,000 USD, 3 years until completion. You could rent it out for 30,000 pesos a month. That's $540. Very good income." Jennifer leaned close. "We could manage it together, baby. I could handle the tenants, collect the rent. It could be ours. Ours." That word did something to me. I had $85,000 in savings. Money I'd set aside for this phase of my life, maybe a little travel, maybe help my kids with a down payment someday. But they didn't need it. They were fine. And here was Jennifer, talking about a future together, building something. "Can I think about it?" I asked. "Of course," Linda said smoothly. "But these units are selling fast. By next month, this tier might be gone. That night, Jennifer was extra affectionate. She cooked my favorite dish, the chicken adobo I'd grown to love. She wore the dress I'd bought her the week before. She told me about her dream again, the cafe. How if she just had a little capital, she could make it real. With the rental income from the condo, she said, I could save enough in 2 years. Open my own place. Build something. She looked at me. Build something with you, if you want. I wanted. God, I wanted so badly to believe this was real. 3 days later, I was at Linda's office signing papers. I wired $45,000 as a down payment. The condo was in Jennifer's name. Linda explained that foreign ownership was complicated. Lots of legal restrictions. It was easier this way. Jennifer was Filipino. She could hold the title. Everything would be fine. You trust me, don't you? Jennifer asked when I hesitated. Of course, I said. And I signed. The next 2 weeks were good. Jennifer was excited, talking about furniture, about paint colors, about our future. She took me to Tagaytay for a weekend, this beautiful place overlooking a lake and a volcano. We stayed in a little bed and breakfast. She held my hand, told me she was falling in love with me, whispered things in Tagalog I pretended to understand. I called my daughter Amy back in Chicago. Dad, she said, when are you coming home? Soon, I lied. Just a couple more weeks. I'm enjoying it here. Are you okay? You sound different. I'm fine, sweetheart. Better than fine, actually. There was a pause. Dad, be careful over there. I've heard stories. What kind of stories? Just about foreigners getting taken advantage of, romance scams, that kind of thing. I laughed, forced it. Amy, I'm 62 years old. I think I can take care of myself. I know. I'm just worried about you. Don't be. I'll be home soon. But I wasn't sure I would. When I tried to follow up with Linda about the contract, about seeing the actual legal documents, she kept delaying. Still being processed at the municipal office, she'd say. You know how slow government is here, Jennifer would reassure me. Baby, it's normal. Everything takes forever in the Philippines. Don't worry. But I was starting to worry. I'd been in the Philippines for 2 months when I met Brent. He lived 3 doors down from me in the same condo building. Australian, mid-50s, been in Manila for 8 years. We ran into each other at the building's gym, started chatting. You're new here, he said. Yeah, couple months. Retirement? I nodded. And a relationship, actually. He raised an eyebrow. Filipina? Yeah, her name's Jennifer. She's amazing. Brent didn't say anything for a moment, just kept lifting his weights. How old is she? 28. And you met her how? At a bar in Batangas. He set down the dumbbells, looked at me directly. Mate, can I buy you a beer? There's something I need to tell you. We went to a bar across the street. Brent ordered us 2 San Miguels. Look, he said, I'm not trying to be a prick, but I've been here 8 years. I've seen this 100 times. Seen what? Foreign guy, usually divorced, usually older, meets young Filipina. She's sweet, attentive, talks about her struggling family. Guy starts helping out, little amounts at first, then it grows. Then she introduces him to investment opportunities, condos, businesses, always needs a little more, and then one day she's gone. I felt my jaw tighten. Jennifer's not like that. That's what they all say. You don't even know her. I don't need to. Brent leaned forward. How much have you given her so far? I didn't answer. More than $10,000? He pressed. I looked away. More than $50,000? My silence was the answer. Jesus Christ, mate. You need to wake up. I'm done with this conversation, I said, standing up. Mitchell, wait. Thanks for the beer. I left him sitting there, walked back to my apartment angry, defensive, my heart racing. Jennifer was on the couch, watching TV. Hey, baby, she said, smiling. How was the gym? Fine, I said, my tone sharper than I meant. She noticed. What's wrong? Nothing. Just tired. She came over, wrapped her arms around me. Talk to me. This guy Brent, he said some things. What things? About how Filipinas scam foreign men. About how I'm being used. I watched her face. She pulled back, hurt in her eyes. And you believe him? I didn't say that. You think I'm using you? Her voice cracked. Mitchell, is that what you think of me? No. God, no. I'm sorry. He just got in my head. She turned away, started crying. I knew this would happen. I knew eventually you'd listen to people like him. Men who don't understand what we have. Jennifer, please. I love you, she said, facing me, tears streaming. I actually love you. But you don't believe me. You think I'm just some bar girl playing you. That's not true. Then why are you even listening to him? I pulled her close. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm just stressed. Forget it. Forget Brent. She held me tight. I would never hurt you, she whispered. Never. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay there next to her, listening to her breathe, and my mind wouldn't stop. The money, the condo in her name. Linda never answering my calls about the contract. Jennifer always on her phone, disappearing for hours. Vague explanations. But then I'd look at her sleeping face, peaceful and beautiful, and I'd think, you're paranoid. You're sabotaging this because you've been alone so long you don't know how to accept love. The next morning Jennifer was cold, distant. She barely spoke during breakfast. Baby, I said, are you still upset? I'm fine. You're not fine. She set down her coffee. Mitchell, do you want me to leave? What? No, because if you don't trust me, I should go. I don't want to be with someone who thinks I'm a liar. I don't think you're a liar. Then prove it. How? She looked at me. My sister needs dental work. Emergency. She's in so much pain. It's $2,000. Can you help? There it was, the test. If I said no, I didn't trust her. If I said yes, I was the fool Brent said I was. I pulled out my phone. What's the dentist's information? Her face softened. She came around the table, kissed me. Thank you, baby. Thank you. I wired the money that afternoon. 2 days later, it was her mother. The house needed repairs. The roof was leaking. The rainy season was coming. It was urgent. $3,500. I sent it. A week after that, Jennifer came home crying. My uncle Rodell had a stroke. I'd never heard her mention an uncle before. Is he okay? He's in the hospital. They won't do the surgery without a deposit. How much? 200,000 pesos. My stomach dropped. That's $3,600. I know. I'm so sorry. I'll figure it out. I'll borrow from someone. Wait, I said. Let me think. I had about $30,000 left in my regular savings. The rest was in my 401k. I'd been hoping not to touch that yet, but this was an emergency. A medical emergency. Okay, I said. I'll send it. She looked at me, shocked. Mitchell, are you sure? He's your uncle. Of course. She started crying. I don't deserve you. I sent the money that night. Wired it to the hospital account Jennifer gave me. My hands were shaking as I hit confirm. That was 2 weeks ago. Now Jennifer's getting ready to go visit Rodel in the hospital. I'll be back tomorrow, she says, packing an overnight bag. Tomorrow? Why so long? He's in Batangas. It's far. And I want to spend time with him. Can I come? Baby, no. It's family only. And the room is small. I'll just be at the hospital the whole time anyway. Something feels wrong. But I nod. Okay. Text me when you get there. I will. She kisses me. I love you. I love you too. She leaves. I'm alone in the apartment. I sit on the couch, stare at my phone. My banking app shows $27,000 in savings, $52,000 in my 401k down, from $85,000 in savings and $88,000 in retirement just 2 months ago. I've spent or invested $94,000 in 2 months. I open my email, search for Linda's last message about the condo. It's from 3 weeks ago. Documents still processing. I call her. It goes to voicemail. I call again. Voicemail. I call Jennifer. Hey baby, what's wrong? Nothing. Just wanted to hear your voice. You there yet? Almost. The traffic is terrible. Okay, be safe. I will. Bye. I hang up. Look around the apartment. Her clothes in the closet. Her toothbrush in the bathroom. Her shampoo in the shower. Evidence of a relationship. Evidence of something real. But then why can't I breathe? That night I have my first panic attack. It hits me out of nowhere. I'm lying in bed, and suddenly my chest is tight. My heart is pounding. I can't get enough air. I stumble to the bathroom, splash water on my face, look at myself in the mirror. Who are you? What have you done? I grab my phone, almost call Amy, almost confess everything, but I can't. I'm too ashamed. Instead, I lie back down, stare at the ceiling until the sun comes up. Jennifer doesn't come back the next day, or the day after that. She texts, "Uncle is worse, need to stay longer." How much longer? I text back. Few more days, miss you. I miss her too. But more than that, I'm terrified. Because for the first time since I met her, I'm alone long enough to think clearly, and the thoughts won't stop coming. Jennifer finally came back after 4 days. She looked exhausted, said Rodell was stable but needed more treatment. How much more? I asked. She hesitated. Another $12,000. I just stared at her. Mitchell, I know it's a lot, but it's his life. Where's the money going to come from, Jennifer? I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I did the math in my head. If I took out $12,000 more, I'd have $15,000 left in savings. Not enough to live on if something went wrong. Not enough to fly home if I needed to. I need to think about it, I said. Her face hardened. Think about it? It's my uncle's life. I understand that, but I need to be responsible too. Responsible? You mean cheap. That's not fair. What's not fair is that I'm here begging you to help my family while you sit on all your money like it's some precious thing. Jennifer, I've given you almost $100,000. The words came out before I could stop them. Silence. You're keeping track? She said quietly. That's not what I meant. No, clearly you are. You're counting every peso like it matters more than me, than my family. I'm not. Then help him. I need time to think. She grabbed her purse. You know what? Forget it. I'll figure it out myself. Where are you going? Out. She slammed the door. I sat there in the empty apartment, my heart racing again. That sick feeling in my stomach that something was very, very wrong. But she called me 2 hours later, crying, apologizing. I'm sorry. I'm so stressed. I took it out on you. Please forgive me. It's okay, I said, relief flooding through me. I'll send the money. And I did. I called my bank in Chicago, started the process to take out a loan against my condo. $50,000. The loan officer asked me what it was for. Home improvements? I lied. It took 3 days to process. Jennifer was sweet during those 3 days. Cooking, cleaning, affectionate, like nothing had happened. When the money hit my account, I sent $12,000 to the hospital. Kept the rest liquid, just in case. Thank you, Jennifer said, kissing me. I'll never forget this, I promise. But things were different now. She was different. She'd come home late, sometimes not at all. I was with my friend, she'd say. Or, I stayed at my mom's house. She was on her phone constantly. When I'd look over, she'd angle it away. When I'd ask who she was talking to, she'd get defensive. Why are you always checking on me? I'm not checking on you. Yes, you are. You're becoming controlling. I just want to know where you are. I'm an adult. Mitchell. I don't need to report my every move. One night I woke up at 3 a.m. She wasn't in bed. I found her on the balcony, earbuds in, talking to someone. She didn't see me. I stood in the doorway, listening. She was speaking Tagalog, soft and sweet, laughing, the same way she used to laugh with me. She finally noticed me, jumped, pulled out the earbuds. Jesus, you scared me. Who are you talking to? My friend. She's having relationship problems. At 3 a.m.? She works night shift. Is that okay with you? Jennifer. What? She was annoyed now, defensive. I'm just asking, and I'm just living my life. Go back to bed, Mitchell. I did. but I couldn't sleep. The next morning I suggested we do something together. Go to Boracay maybe, take a break, reconnect. I can't, she said. I have to work. You haven't worked in weeks. I need to start again. I need money. I've been helping. Helping? Mitchell, I can't rely on you forever. I need my own income. Then let me support you while you figure out what you want to do. I don't want to be supported. I want to be independent. But you weren't independent a month ago, I thought, but didn't say. Instead, I said, okay, that's good. That's healthy. She looked at me. Actually, maybe I should get my own place. My heart dropped. What? I've been thinking. Maybe we moved too fast. Maybe we need some space. Space? Yeah, just to figure things out. Jennifer, we've been together for 3 months. We have a condo being built. That's another thing. Maybe we should sell my share of the condo, give you your money back. I don't want the money back. I want us to work this out, she sighed. I don't know if we can. I felt panic rising. Why? What changed? Nothing changed. That's the problem. You want me to be this grateful woman who owes you everything. And I'm not that. I never said you owed me anything. You didn't have to say it. I can feel it. This was spinning out of control. Jennifer, please. Let's not do this. Let's just take a trip. Get away. Reset. She looked at me for a long moment. Where? Palawan. I'll book us a nice resort. We can relax, talk, figure this out. She nodded slowly. Okay, yeah, maybe that's good. I booked it that afternoon. 5 days in Palawan, a resort right on the beach. $2,000 for everything. I didn't care. I needed to fix this. I needed to get back to what we had, because if I lost her now, after everything I'd given, then what was any of this for? We flew to Palawan on a Tuesday. The resort was beautiful. White sand, crystal blue water, little bungalows right on the beach. Jennifer seemed happy when we arrived. She took photos, smiled, held my hand as we walked to our room. This is amazing, she said. I told you. That first night we had dinner on the beach. Fresh fish, some kind of local recipe. She was on her phone less, actually looking at me when I talked. I'm sorry things got weird, I said. Me too. I just want us to be good again. We will be, she said, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. I promise. But that night, around 11 p.m., she said she was going for a walk. Want company? I asked. No, I just need to clear my head. I'll be back soon. She was gone for an hour. When she came back, she was on her phone, texting, smiling at the screen. Good walk? I asked. Yeah. Beautiful night. She got ready for bed without making eye contact. We slept on opposite sides of the bed. The next day was better. We went swimming, got massages, had lunch at this little place overlooking the water. She was present, laughing. The Jennifer I'd first met. Maybe Palawan was working. Maybe we'd be okay. That night we made love for the first time in 2 weeks. Afterwards, lying there, she whispered, I do love you, you know. I love you too. I'm just scared sometimes. Of losing myself. You won't. Promise? Promise. She fell asleep in my arms. I lay there feeling like maybe, just maybe, I hadn't ruined everything. But the next morning, everything changed. I woke up around 6 a.m. She wasn't in bed. I checked the bathroom. Not there. I stepped out onto our bungalow's porch, saw her down by the water, phone pressed to her ear. I should have given her privacy. I should have gone back inside. But something made me walk closer, not close enough for her to see me, but close enough to hear. She was speaking Tagalog, but the tone was clear, intimate, loving, laughing softly at something the person said. Then she switched to English. I miss you too, baby. Just a few more days. Baby, I froze. Yeah, he's still sleeping. We'll do something today, I don't know. Beach, probably. She paused, listening. No, it's fine. Easy money. He's booking everything. Spending like crazy trying to make me happy. My blood went cold. How much more? She said into the phone. I don't know. Maybe another month. Then I'll be done. Another pause. I love you. I'll call you tonight. Yeah. Miss you, Mahal. She hung up, started walking back toward the bungalow. I turned and quietly went back inside, got into bed, closed my eyes, pretended to be asleep. She came in, got back into bed next to me, like nothing happened. I lay there, my mind screaming, my heart breaking, trying to figure out what I'd just heard, trying to figure out if I'd misunderstood. But I hadn't. I knew exactly what I'd heard. The rest of that day was torture. She was chipper, affectionate, suggesting we go kayaking. I went through the motions, smiled, nodded, died inside. That night, around 2 a.m., I woke up. She wasn't in bed again. I heard her voice from the balcony, talking to him again. This time I didn't get up. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to the muffled sound of her laughter. When she finally came back to bed, I pretended to be asleep. She got in next to me, her back to me. I could smell her shampoo, feel the warmth of her body. This woman I'd given everything to, everything, who was on the phone every night with someone else, calling him baby. The next morning I did something I swore I'd never do. While she was in the shower, I grabbed her phone. She'd left it charging on the nightstand. My hands were shaking. I knew the passcode. She'd told me months ago, said she had nothing to hide. 0928, her birthday. I opened it, went straight to her messages, and there it was, Danny. Hundreds of messages. I scrolled up. They went back months, before I'd even met her. Photos of them together, him with his arm around her kissing his cheek. Messages from last week. How much longer with the foreigner? Few more weeks. He just took out a loan, $50K. You're a genius, baby. I know. He's so easy. Feels bad for me. Thinks he's saving me. Laughing emoji. What's he like? Old. Boring. Talks about planes a lot. But he's paying for everything, so I pretend to care. My hands were numb. I kept scrolling. Did you get him to do the condo? Yeah. Linda has his $45K. We split that already. And the uncle? Roddle never even met him. That money went straight to us. There were photos, screenshots of bank transfers, my money, lists of what they'd bought, a new motorcycle for Danny, clothes, dinners, a trip they'd taken to Cebu while I thought she was taking care of her sick uncle. I scrolled to the most recent message, 3 days ago. How's Palawan? Expensive resort. He's trying to fix things. Booked 5 days. Get what you can, then finish it. I know. He's almost dry anyway. Maybe one more big ask? How much you think? Whatever's left. Maybe another $15K. Then what? Then I'm done, Mahal. We'll be set for a while. I love you. Love you more. I heard the shower turn off. I put her phone back exactly where it was. Climbed back into bed, pulled the covers up, stared at the ceiling. She came out, towel wrapped around her, humming. Good morning, baby, she said. I looked at her. Really looked at her, this stranger. Morning, I managed. What do you want to do today? What did I want to do? I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw her phone at the wall. I wanted to grab her shoulders and demand the truth. But instead I said, I don't know. Whatever you want. She smiled. Let's go into town, do some shopping. Of course, shopping. More of my money. Sure, I said. Sounds good. We went. She bought clothes, jewelry, souvenirs for her family. I paid for everything. Watched her smile and thank me. Watched her text Danny photos of what she was buying with my money. That night I couldn't take it anymore. After dinner, back in the bungalow, I said, Jennifer, can I ask you something? Sure. Are you happy? With me? She looked surprised. Of course. Why? You just seem distant sometimes. I'm not distant. I'm here, aren't I? Physically, yeah. But it feels like your mind is somewhere else. She sighed. Mitchell, we've been over this. I'm fine. We're fine. Can you just relax? Who do you talk to every night? What? On the phone. At 2, 3 a.m. Who is it? Her face hardened. Are you checking on me? I'm asking a question. It's my friend. I already told you. Which friend? Why does it matter? It matters because you're my girlfriend and you're on the phone for hours every night with someone you won't tell me about. She stood up. I don't have to report every conversation to you. I didn't say you did. This is exactly why I needed space. You're suffocating me. Jennifer. No. You know what? I'm going for a walk. I need to be alone. She grabbed her phone and left. I sat there in the empty bungalow, my heart pounding, my mind racing, knowing exactly what was happening but unable to stop it. She came back an hour later. I think we should cut this trip short, she said. What? I think we need a break, Mitchell. A break? Yeah, some time apart, to figure out what we want. What you want, you mean? Fine. What I want. And what do you want? She looked at me. Those beautiful eyes that had held so much warmth 3 months ago now cold. I don't know. I just know this isn't working. So that's it? After everything? After everything? She repeated. Mitchell, what did you think this was? I thought it was a relationship. I thought you loved me. She laughed. Actually laughed. Love you? Mitchell, look at you. You're 62 years old. I'm 28. Did you really think a 28-year-old was in love with you? The words hit like a punch. You said you were. I said a lot of things. Doesn't make them true. So it was all fake? Everything? She shrugged. Does it matter now? I felt tears burning my eyes. I gave you everything. My savings. My retirement. Everything. I didn't ask you to. Yes, you did. Every single time. No. I told you my problems. You chose to help. That's on you. I did it because I loved you. That's your mistake, not mine. I just stared at her. This woman, I didn't know. This stranger wearing Jennifer's face. Who's Danny? I said quietly. Her eyes widened. Just for a second. What? Danny. Your boyfriend. The guy you talk to every night. She didn't deny it. Didn't even try. You went through my phone this morning while you were in the shower. You had no right. You had no right to do this to me. She grabbed her bag, started packing. What are you doing? I asked. Leaving. We're on an island. There's a ferry. I'll figure it out. Jennifer, wait. She zipped her bag, looked at me one last time. You knew, Mitchell. Deep down you knew the whole time. You just didn't want to admit it, because admitting it meant you'd wasted all that money on someone who didn't love you. And you couldn't handle that. That's not true. Yes, it is. You saw every red flag. You ignored them all because you were lonely and desperate and pathetic, and I took advantage of that. So yeah, I'm the bad guy, but you let it happen. She walked to the door. Jennifer, she paused. I actually did like you at first, she said softly. When we met. I thought you were sweet, but then you started giving me money so easily, and I realized that's all you were. An ATM. She left. I heard her footsteps on the porch. Heard them fade away. I sat down on the bed, in the expensive resort room I'd booked to save my relationship, and I finally let myself cry. Not because she was gone, but because she was right. I had known. The whole time. And I'd given her everything anyway. I flew back to Manila alone 2 days later. Used my credit card. Couldn't even afford the flight anymore. The apartment in Makati was empty. Her clothes were gone. Her toothbrush. Everything. Like she'd never existed. I sat on the couch for 3 days straight. Didn't eat. Barely slept. Just sat there trying to process what had happened. I'd lost $265,000. My retirement savings. My 401k. The loan against my condo. Everything I'd worked 30 years for. Gone. I looked at my bank account. $11,000 left. Not enough to survive on. Not enough to start over with. Not enough for anything. On the 4th day, I called a lawyer. Filipino guy named Andres, who specialized in helping foreigners. Let me get this straight, he said over the phone. You gave her money? Yes. Gifts? Well, loans. She said she'd pay me back. Do you have anything in writing? No. Any contracts? Any agreements? No. What about the condo? It's in her name. Why? The agent said it was easier that way, because I'm foreign. Andres sighed. Mr. Mitchell, I'm very sorry to tell you this, but there's nothing I can do. The money was gifts. The condo is in her name. Legally, you have no recourse. There has to be something. There isn't. I'm sorry. You're not the first person this has happened to. You won't be the last. So I just lose everything? Yes. I hung up. Sat there in the silence, thinking about my condo in Chicago, the mortgage I'd taken out, the $50,000 loan I'd have to pay back with money I didn't have. I thought about my retirement, the comfortable life I'd planned, travel, hobbies, maybe grandkids someday. All of it gone. For a woman who'd never loved me. I finally called my daughter. "Dad," Amy said, her voice bright, "how's the Philippines?" "Not good, sweetheart." "What's wrong?" I told her everything, the whole story, Jennifer, the money, the condo, Palawan, all of it. By the end, I was crying. Amy was silent for a long time. Then I heard her crying too. "Dad, why didn't you tell me? I was ashamed. How much did you lose?" $265,000. She gasped. "Dad." "Oh my God. I know. What are you going to do?" "I don't know. Come home, I guess. Try to figure it out. I'll help you." "We'll figure something out." "No. You have your own family. I'm not taking money from you." "Dad, I mean it, Amy. I did this to myself. I'll fix it myself." But I didn't know how. That night, Brent knocked on my door. "Heard you were back," he said. "Yeah. Heard what happened too." "Word gets around." I nodded. "I'm sorry, mate. I really am. You warned me." "I did. But that doesn't make me happy about being right." He helped me pack. Drove me to the airport the next day. "What are you going to do?" he asked. "Start over, I guess. Get a job. Try to pay off the loan. At 62, I don't have a choice." He was quiet for a moment. For what it's worth, she was very good. One of the best I've seen. The uncle story, the cousin with the condo, the tears. Very professional. That doesn't make me feel better. It should. You're not stupid. You're human. You were lonely and she knew exactly how to use that. I looked at him. How do I live with this? One day at a time. And you stop blaming yourself eventually. When? I don't know. But you will. I boarded the plane. The same flight I should have taken 5 months ago. Found my seat. 24C. Same seat I'd had before. As we took off, I looked out the window. Manila disappeared below. The city where I'd lost everything. Where I'd fallen in love with a ghost. Where I'd chosen fantasy over reality and paid $265,000 for 5 months of pretending I mattered to someone. The flight was 14 hours. I didn't sleep. Just sat there thinking. About every decision. Every ignored red flag. Every moment I'd chosen to believe instead of question. I landed at O'Hare at 6 a.m. Walked through the terminal with my single suitcase. Everything I had left. My phone buzzed. A text from Amy. "I'm here. I'll pick you up." I saw her at arrivals. She ran up, hugged me, didn't say anything, just held me while I cried in the middle of the airport. "Let's go home, Dad," she finally said. But I didn't have a home anymore. I had a mortgaged condo and $11,000 to my name. I had a daughter who was being kind when she should have been furious. And I had the knowledge that I'd thrown away my entire future for a woman who'd been playing a role from day one. 3 months later, I'm living in my sister Karen's basement in Schaumburg. She offered when I told her what happened, didn't judge. Just said, "You can stay as long as you need." I got a job at Home Depot, part-time, 20 hours a week. I wear an orange apron, help people find the right drill bits, stock shelves, clean up on aisle 7. At 62, this is my life. My coworkers are mostly young guys, early 20s. They don't know my story. They think I'm just some old dude who needs extra cash. I don't correct them. The Home Depot money helps, but it's not enough. I'm working on refinancing the condo, trying to get the payments lower, trying to figure out how to pay back the $50,000 loan. My credit score has tanked. The bank is threatening foreclosure if I miss another payment. My retirement is gone. My savings are gone. Everything I worked for is gone. I think about Jennifer sometimes. Wonder where she is, if she's with Danny. If they're laughing about the old American who thought she loved him. I don't hate her anymore. That's the weird part. I understand her. She saw an opportunity, a lonely man with money. And she took it. It's what I did with that opportunity that kills me. Because I saw it too. I saw every red flag. Brent warned me. My daughter questioned me. My own gut screamed at me. But I ignored it all. Because being used felt better than being alone. That's the truth I have to live with now. I didn't lose $265,000 because I was stupid. I lost it because I was desperate. Desperate to feel wanted, to feel needed, to feel like I mattered. And Jennifer gave me that. For 5 months, she made me feel alive. She made me feel like somebody, and I paid $265,000 for that feeling. Was it worth it? No. Would I do it again? I want to say no. But sitting here in my sister's basement, working at Home Depot, facing foreclosure, I honestly don't know. Because those 5 months with Jennifer, even knowing what I know now, were the only time in the last 20 years I felt like my life had meaning. And that's the saddest part of all. I go to therapy now. Every Tuesday. My insurance covers most of it. The therapist, Dr. Sarah, asks me a lot about my marriage, about why it failed, about why I felt so invisible. Your wife didn't see you, she says, for decades. And then Jennifer did, or at least she made you feel seen. But it was fake. To her maybe, but what you felt was real. Your loneliness was real. Your desire for connection was real. She exploited that, yes, but your feelings were valid. So what do I do with that? You learn that feeling seen isn't the same as being valued. You learn that real love doesn't cost $265,000. You learn that being alone is better than being used. I'm trying to learn those things. It's hard. I joined a support group, divorced men in their 50s and 60s. Meets at a church in Arlington Heights every Thursday night. There are 3 other guys who got scammed overseas. Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines. Same story. Lonely man, young woman. Promises and tears and urgent family needs. One guy lost $180,000. Another lost his house. We don't judge each other. We just sit there and talk about how we're trying to survive, how we explain this to our kids, how we start over with nothing. Last week a new guy came, 64 years old, just got back from Colombia, lost $95,000. He cried the whole meeting. We all just sat with him. Because we knew. We knew exactly what he was feeling. After the meeting, I walked him to his car. Does it get better? He asked. I don't know yet, I said. But we're still here. That's something. At work yesterday, a kid came in, maybe 25, talking to his buddy about finding a girlfriend in Asia. They love American men, he was saying, and they're traditional, you know, not like women here. I almost walked over, almost told him my story, but I didn't, because he wouldn't have listened, just like I didn't listen to Brent. Sometimes I think about that moment at the airport. Me standing there with my boarding pass, Jennifer crying. I think about the man I was then, hopeful, believing in second chances, believing love could find him at 62. And I think about the man I am now, wearing an orange apron, living in a basement, starting over with nothing. If I could go back, would I get on that plane? Of course I would, but I didn't. And this is the life I have to live now. Not the retirement I planned, not the comfortable golden years. This, working at 62, refinancing a condo I might lose anyway, paying back money I don't have, living with the shame of being the man who gave away everything for a woman who was never real. But I'm still here. I wake up every morning. I go to work. I go to therapy. I go to my support group. I call Amy every Sunday. I sit on Karen's porch some mornings, drink coffee, watch the sun come up. It's not the life I wanted, but it's the life I chose. And maybe, eventually, I'll learn to live with that. Maybe I'll even learn to forgive myself. But not today. Today I just have to survive. And some days, that's enough.